So Joe Rogan, we'll cover this a little later. I don't know if this is the first thing we'll cover. You know what? Screw it. We'll do that'll be the first thing we cover. Okay. So the reason Sargon is salty, it seems, is Joe Rogan's podcast, if you don't know, which is one of the most popular podcasts in the world, shockingly enough, even though it's awful. Okay, how do I put this? The production isn't awful, and if he only talked to people about Bigfoot and UFOs and DMT, I wouldn't care. It's the fact that he brings on people like Jordan Peterson and Sargon and all sorts of shit. And I guess Sargon was maybe in an episode of it at some point, and when it got moved to Spotify because they paid Joe Rogan for exclusivity, they deleted they have not uploaded the Sargon one and several other episodes. Like, and Sargon's mad that he's not marketable. Of course you're not marketable, Sargon. You're awful. Excuse me. Apologies. So anyway, let's see how Sargon feels about the free marketplace of ideas now that people have decided that he's such shit, that he's not a marketable asset.
Back in May, Joe Rogan announced that he was signing an exclusive deal with Spotify and his content would be exclusively on that podcasting platform. So he would be leaving YouTube and presumably all of the other platforms.
Honestly, I'm thankful. Do you know how many times I've been suggested Joe Rogan's podcast? And if you listen to Joe Rogan, I guess that's your business. But, like, Joe Rogan is the most credulous person alive. He could bring on anyone. He could bring on someone who's like, I saw aliens in my backyard and they told me that the Mayans really didn't die out. They disappeared in a time travel experiment and they'll be back next year to help save the planet. And Joe Rogan would be like, oh wow, that's cool, bro. You ever do DMT? Like, he just brings on really shitty people like Jordan Peterson, and he doesn't question them at all. He just lets them spout nonsense to the largest podcast audience on the planet. It's real bad.
On which he was available and being there exclusively. And he did this for $100 million deal, according to the Wall Street Journal. So you can see why he would do it. And why shouldn't he? Why does he owe any of these other platforms any kind of obligation? Especially if
Did
he's
he actually remove everything? Let me look real quick. YouTube. Like, if I search Joe Rogan, is the channel gone now? Or at least hidden? Roden. Joe Roden. That's not what I wanted. Joe Rogan. Powerful Joe Rogan experience. No, they're still uploading stuff. So they must just have, do they have like a timed exclusivity deal with like Spotify where they go on there first? Because they have full episodes that they've uploaded 3 hours ago, 2 hours ago, 3 days ago, 1 week ago, 1 week ago. So maybe it's just like a timed exclusive thing with Spotify. I have no idea. Either way.
In line with his own conscience, which he clearly said. He's been complaining recently about the oppressive nature of California and the fact that it's becoming less free, and he is moving to Texas, as many of his friends are. And I think that a part of this criticism is,
oh no, I have to wear a mask? My freedoms. Emphasis on the dumbs.
Is also of Silicon Valley, the way that the tech giants, the big tech...
Please, move your tech companies to Texas so all your liberal employees will go and move to Texas and we can turn Texas blue. Please, do that. It'll help the country.
Giants.
Because California will stay blue, but if you keep moving tech bros to Texas, it'll be pretty good electorally. I'm okay with that.
Restrain content. Well, he said here, it will remain free and it will be exactly the same show. It's just a licensing deal, so Spotify won't have any creative control over the show. They want me to continue doing it the way I'm doing it right now. I'm excited to have the support of the largest audio platform in the world, and I hope to see you folks there when we make the switch. That is interesting, because today was the day that the switch was made, and it seems that a lot of episodes have been not moved across to Spotify for reasons unknown.
So here's a list. Full list. I'll just find this list. Full list of Joe Rogan Removed from Spotify. Do-do-do-do. Full list of every missing episode from Spotify. From the Joe Rogan subreddit. Owen Smith, Krista Elia, Michael Shermer, Tommy Chong. And by the way, they're going to say, like, I'm sure Sargon's going to be like, they're censoring right-wingers. Like, Tommy Chong is also on this list, who is definitely not a right-winger. Joe List, Alex Jones, Nick Kroll, Michaela Peterson, Owen Benjamin, Krista Elia, Sargon, Gavin McInnes, Alex Jones, Milo Yiannopoulos, Stefan Molyneux. Like, you get it. It's people who they find controversial for one reason or another, and Spotify doesn't want to host these, and they probably had something about this in the deal for $100 million, and Joe Rogan is completely within his rights as the owner of the Joe Rogan Experience podcast to withhold these episodes from Spotify if it's something that he and Spotify agree to. Sargon is going to be mad about this, though. Even though this is clearly a business deal that all parties agreed to, Sargon's going to get salty and mad about it because he's not marketable, and he doesn't like facts. Because apparently his feelings are more important than facts. Interesting.
Now, there's quite a long list, and there's quite a variety of different people on here. And a bunch of people I don't know about. Like, I don't know who Jason Thibault is, or Brian Redband, Pete Johansson, Daryl Wright, Brian Whitaker, Jan Irvin, Joey Diaz. Like, repeat guests who have been on there. Eddie Bravo, isn't this a guy who's on fairly regularly? But then I found Adam Kokesh, a capitalist activist, has been told that he can't go on. I don't know who David Seaman is.
Adam Kokesh. I'm not sure who that is. Let's look him up. Adam Kokesh. Someone who Sargon called a capitalist activist. Adam Charles Kokesh is an American libertarian political activist, radio host, and author. Kokesh was a U.S. 2020 libertarian presidential candidate running on the single-issue platform of an orderly dissolution of the federal government. He's just a capitalist advocate that wants to completely deconstruct the federal government. Why is that controversial, says Sargon, the idiot. Anyway. It's almost like anytime Sargon tries to, like, sum up someone in one sentence and it doesn't sound very bad, you can probably assume a single Google search will show that Sargon is sugarcoating it to the max.
Aspirin, but Dr. Stephen Greer. That's weird because he's the UFO guy. He's the bald doctor who talks about UFOs a lot.
Let me see. Dr. Stephen Greer. American ufologist, which I think should not be a thing people are allowed to call themselves. I am an expert in unicorns. If I say it, it's true. Stephen Greer is an American ufologist and retired traumatologist who founded the Center for the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence and the Disclosure Project, which seeks to... I'm having trouble reading today, sorry. Which seeks the disclosure of allegedly classified secret UFO information. So I don't know why this guy isn't getting put on Joe Rogan, but apparently something was said during that podcast, or there's something about the guy that I'm unaware of, that Spotify was like, nah, nope, not that one. Don't know why. I don't have to agree. They're a private business. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
And Joe Rogan loves UFOs. He has loads of these different types of conspiracy theorists on. And I love this content too. I'm not in any way judging this. I think this is the content that makes the internet worthwhile. So, weird, isn't it? I think David Seaman is a conspiracy theorist as well. So, okay. But then you've got Louis Theroux. It's like a British documentary maker. He's totally middle of the road. He's just like the...
Louis Theroux... Oh, did he do he did the My Scientology movie. Louis Theroux, documentary filmmaker, journalist, broadcaster, and author, has received 2 British Academy Television Awards and Royal Television Society Television Award. Born in Singapore to an English mother and American father, blah, 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 blah. Let's see what his documentaries are. Louis Theroux's Weird Weekends. In Weird Weekends, Theroux followed marginally mostly American subcultures such as survivalists, black nationalists, white supremacists, and porn stars, often by living among or close to the people involved. Excuse me. His documentary method often subtly exposed the contradictions or farcical elements of some seriously held beliefs. He describes the aim of the series as setting out to discover genuinely odd in the most ordinary setting. Sounds interesting. When Louis met was a little bit later. Theroux accomplished a different British celebrity in each program. I think he did my Scientology movie, which is good if you haven't seen it too. So I don't know why Spotify decided not to put his episode on, but again, they're a private company. They can do what they want. Sargon, if you are in favor of free market capitalism, which you have espoused time and time again the virtues of, I don't necessarily agree, but you think free market capitalism is great. And capitalism says that people are free to make contracts with each other over most things, as long as it's not something completely abhorrent, like the ownership of other people, etc., etc. So Spotify went to Joe Rogan, offered him $100 million in exchange for exclusivity of his podcast. Joe Rogan said, sure. And then Spotify said, okay, but we have some conditions. These episodes, whatever they might be, we're not going to put on. And it might not even be that severe. It's possible they just got missed in the transition and they'll get put on later, which would be funny if he's freaking out about nothing in the first place. But even if it is something that's been removed due to that contract, they are free under capitalism to make that contract. So Sargon, what are you mad about? Are you mad you're just not marketable? Are you mad that the free market has deemed you so toxic that people will make contracts specifically to exclude your content from their platform? I'm sorry. Then you either need to stop being such an awful person that people don't want to associate with, or you need to advocate for a system in which the public ownership of platforms is accomplished. So it's not a private entity and everything is more or less public, and then anyone can post anything anywhere as long as it's not like a direct call to violence or, screaming fire in a crowded theater. But that doesn't apply here because Spotify is a private company and they can do whatever they want. So what's the complaint, Sargon? Because it just makes you come off like a hypocrite.
The regular guy who goes and does the crazy things with the lunatics in whatever experience he's having. But he's not some radical. And then we get to Stefan Molyneux, Chuck Johnson, Milo Yiannopoulos, Gavin McInnes, right, okay, Alex Jones and Eddie Bravo. So that the famous Alex Jones podcasts won't be on there. And then Gavin McInnes again, and me, Sargon of Akkad. I don't get to go across to Spotify.
Nope! Guess you shouldn't be so awful.
I think Owen Benjamin and Michaela Peterson, Jordan Peterson's daughter, doesn't get to go.
Yeah, yep.
And the legendary Alex Jones.
Based on the fact that, Jordan Peterson doesn't appear to be on this list, I assume he made the cut. They probably cut Michaela Peterson because she's advocating for, all meat diets, which is really, really unhealthy and is bound to kill you if you try and do it.
Returns. This was probably the best podcast I've ever watched. I was in hysterics the whole way through. I couldn't stop watching it. Best podcast, and the single best Joe Rogan podcast, and it's not going to be on Spotify. That's mad. And Alex Jones is a personal friend of Joe Rogan's, and I imagine is one of the reasons he moved to Texas to be nearer to his friends. And
imagine saying that and not realizing it reflects really, really poorly on Joe Rogan. Oh yeah, Alex Jones, guy who got sued by the Sandy Hook parents because he was claiming that it was all a hoax and he had them getting harassed day in and day out. One of my best friends. Alex Jones is a bag of trash. Alex Jones is an awful person, and I get it. It can be funny to look at how crazy he acts, and it's like, oh, look at the meme, the gay frogs, Adrazine, ha 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 ha. Really, he's a destructive person. He's a destructive person that peddles really dangerous lies to a public that's too stupid or too crazy to recognize that what he's saying isn't true. And I'm not talking about the general public. I'm talking about the people who seek out Alex Jones and believe that InfoWars is a valid avenue of information on the world. Like, the guy's nuts, and it's a good thing he's been deplatformed just about everywhere. He is awful.
And so I'm baffled as to why Joe Rogan wouldn't want these on his Spotify account. Like, what?
Probably the $100 million. I think the $100 million probably did it. I don't think Joe Rogan went to Spotify and said, by the way, we're not going to put these ones up. I think Spotify went to Joe Rogan and said, hey, we have some of these podcasts that we'd like you not to put on here as a stipulation of our contract in which we're going to give you $100 million. I'm not going to make an Austin Powers joke because it's 2020 and no one will get it. Like, if someone wanted to pay me $100 million to put any of my content anywhere, I will do so. Please, yes. And tell me what ones you want me to remove. And then none of you will ever see me again. I'll just be living on a house yacht in the Atlantic Ocean, awaiting the end of the world. Like, what's the shock here, Sargon? I don't understand. Tucker White 24, as a matter of fact, I did get it. Well, good for you.
What's the problem? Tommy Chong? What is that? The guy from Cheech and Chong, right? Like, I mean,
$100 million to put your stream on InfoWars? Go for it. If InfoWars had $100 million, which they don't, but they wanted to spend it putting my stuff, which is antithetical to everything InfoWars stands for, especially my conspiracy theory debunks I do on Tinfoil Tuesday, please give me $100 million. Yes, I will take it.
Again, like Joe Rogan.
I have no standards for myself.
Famous for enjoying cannabis and other drugs, can't have Tommy Chong on his platform, on his Spotify account. But then,
yeah, I think that's kind of weird. And you think the other ones are weird. But we're not the ones in the contract, Sargon. Spotify and Joe Rogan are. And whatever reasons they might have for that, that's their business.
Let me get to the really bizarre ones. Michael Shermer. I thought I recognized the name, so I looked him up. Michael Shermer was the founder of the Skeptics Society, and it's like one of the...
Isn't he, like, super Islamophobic? Isn't he, like, super anti... And isn't he, like, kind of on the right now? I don't remember, but I feel like there was something about him that made people not like him. I don't follow, like, the atheist community very much. I haven't in a long time. Tucker White 24, anyone would turn into a Ferengi when given millions of dollars. True. Sargon's salty. He wants a Spotify contract, yeah. And it's hilarious to me, too, because Sargon's net worth is only like $750,000 last time I checked. Might be different now. I don't know. I don't know how often that stuff kind of updates. So he's not like... He's rich, but he's not like... You know, he's not $100 million rich. So if someone went to Sargon and it's like, we're going to give you $100 million, but here's a list of stipulations, I have a feeling his free speech absolutionist BS would fall by the wayside immediately. Sam Harris is a huge Islamophobe? Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
New atheist, sort of that sort of area, so sort of people who are connected with Sam Harris and Richard Dawkins. People who are not, like, you know, I don't know, racists or bigots or really even very controversial.
Oh boy. Oh boy. That's a conversation for another day.
Apart from the fact that he critiques religion and is pro-science. You know, the kind of person that you want deplatformed these days. I don't know who Chris D'Elia and Owen Smith are, but...
Michael also had sexual harassment allegations.
Done, it seems to have been left off here. And I just... Yeah,
Dawkins has outrun his usefulness as a public figure. He should just stop, go write some more books on genetics, but other than that, please stop. Stop, Richard Dawkins. Please stop. He's got some boomer opinions. There's nothing funny about who takes Sargon seriously anymore? I mean, how many views does this video have? 355,000 people do, apparently. He has a third, over a third of 1 million subscribers on this channel, and this isn't even his original channel. So people take Sargon seriously. Not a lot of people, but enough that it's worth talking about.
I'm genuinely surprised at who is being lumped together here. This is a very wide swathe of people, but it's dozens of the podcasts that have not been uploaded to a Spotify account. Like, who made that decision? I'm really curious. I really want to know.
Probably Spotify.
What the rationale for this was, especially as Joe himself was saying repeatedly on his podcast that, look, Silicon Valley censorship is getting out of control. And
then someone went up to him and said, here's $100 million, and it flew by the wayside. It's almost like profit motive taints everything. How weird.
The Californian mindset is getting out of control. It's becoming tyrannical. And I completely agree with him. Like, why would he be okay with this? And
money.
So you get a lot of people in his subreddit saying things like, well, he's sold out. I somehow feel betrayed. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. There are some real questions here. So does this mean Alex Jones will never return to the podcast? We don't know.
I hope not.
I mean, I would consider that to be a deep loss because Alex Jones and Joe Rogan's podcast are the best. And I mean it. This is top quality entertainment. But some of these episodes are so seemingly harmless. Nick Kroll, Tommy Chong, Rickson Gracie. If someone wants to cancel Joe, they could go on YouTube and watch the episodes where excluded from Spotify and see the dirt they could pull. It really is interesting, isn't it? And the thing is, I don't think my podcast with him was particularly...
Shogu417, thanks for following.
Controversial.
It's controversial because you're in it, Sargon. You're the controversial part. Sargon, you must know at this point that people hate you and that you're a super right-wing ideologue. There's a reason people threw milkshakes at you, right? Like, do you not remember the entire UKIP campaign and how you tanked it and how you said things about how you wouldn't even, like, I'm going to use a different word, how you wouldn't even assault someone because you didn't find them attractive? Like, really? Do you not get it, Sargon? You're an awful person. You're toxic as a brand. No one will ever legitimately platform you for a large amount of money because you are bad for their brand. Just about anyone who gets associated with you will look lesser for doing so. I'm sorry that hurts your feelings, but I guess you should stop being such an absolute monster shit then. That'd be great.
I don't think I said anything controversial on the podcast.
His appearance was full of attacks on Anita Sarkeesian. Wow, is it 2012 already?
But to be honest with you, it was one of my more disappointing ones. Normally, I put in a much better performance when I'm being interviewed by someone. But
okay.
At the time, I was quite under attack by the powers that be, and it was... looking back on it, man, I wish that I'd got in more relaxed, but everything was happening so fast and there was so much happening around me that it was weird. But some of these are mystifying. Louis Theroux was so bizarre I had to Google it. It was been blocked for me in YouTube due to copyright. I have no idea.
Tucker White 24 with a bit. I'll never understand what I saw in him back in 2016. Yeah. I'm glad you don't see it in him anymore, no matter what it was.
I've seen the Louis Theroux one. But again, Louis Theroux is such a mild-mannered man. I have absolutely no...
I genuinely don't know why his podcast wasn't transferred over either. I don't have an answer, Sargon, and neither do you, but it doesn't change the fact that Spotify had some reason. They offered Joe Rogan $1 million times 100, and then he went, yeah, do what you want, meanwhile counting his money. Profit motive in action.
No doubt that he is not saying or advocating for something insane. But anyway, as I say, the comments are not happy about this. People are just not very happy. But apparently, someone who phoned them up said it can be due to permissions from rights holders that it may reappear and the right folks at Spotify will hear about this issue.
Licensing issues from the Thoreau end? Did they show clips of his documentary or like audio clips maybe and they have to deal with licensing through that? That might be possible. That would make some sense, I guess. Sargon tried to talk to Joe about Anita Sarkeesian and even Joe didn't give a shit.
I mean, it might be a licensing issue, but we don't know. And as far as I'm aware, Joe Rogan hasn't made a comment on this himself. As of yet, he hasn't actually made a comment on this. And I hope he does, because I really do want to know what the answer is. Because, I mean, I really
Money. The answer's money, Sargon. It's very simple.
respect Joe Rogan's stance on things like free speech and freedom of expression and personal choice in this manner. And so I really hope that he hasn't just decided to kind of bend the knee to Spotify.
Sargon, if anyone offered you $100 million, I feel like if someone walked up to Sargon's house and they pointed to a truck with $100 million on the back and they said, Sargon, you're going to be a social justice warrior from now on.
That's right.
You're going to advocate for racial equality. You're going to advocate for feminism. I think Sargon would do it for $100 million. I really think he would. Shylock, thanks for continuing your gift sub. I appreciate it.
And a bunch of arbitrary demands from Spotify, just to get rid of, again, a weird slate of people who aren't allowed to be uploaded. I mean, I know that from the a lot of the podcasts there I've watched, and all of them are Alex Jones' own content, Joe Rogan's own content. So it's. I don't think that the claims of copyright would have any legal grounds, if any grounds at all. So yeah, I don't have any further answers on this one. It's just really bizarre.
Does Sargon really have so little self-awareness that he doesn't understand why people wouldn't want to platform him? Like a legitimate platform with, like, respectability, like Spotify. Like, you don't have to like Spotify. They're not even the music app that I use. Like, so I don't really care either way. But, like, people use Spotify. It's a known name, you know? It's a big company. Does Sargon genuinely not understand how people view him to the extent that he doesn't know why Spotify wouldn't want him on their platform? Is he that dumb? Is he that, like, narcissistic that he thinks people have this, like, at worst neutral view of him when the average person looks at Sargon and goes, ew, that guy's awful. That guy said disgusting things. He's, like, angry right-wing grifter. Does he not know that's how people view him? I'd like to know.
After coming out in framing this in the manner of actually this is going to be helpful for free speech, nothing's going to change, they don't want editorial control, to then we find that in fact there are a lot of people who won't be featured now. At the end of the day, it is his podcast. He can completely choose as he likes as to who he has on there, who doesn't, and what old episodes he removes. I just think that's very interesting and the messaging is mixed. And I would like to know what the answer is, just because I am in some way affected here. But maybe it's because I was so spicy on Twitter when arguing with Nazis.
Sargon pretending he doesn't like Nazis is cute.
Yes. The worst thing I've ever done, to be honest. Anyway, folks, if you would like to support the...
Yes, Sargon, I'm sure it's the fact that you argued with a Nazi on Twitter and not the fact that you literally said to someone, I wouldn't even RAPE you very publicly during a political campaign. I'm sure the two are not related.
The channel and make sure that we can continue to keep growing and building onwards and upwards, because, you know, we got demonetized and my Thinkery channel got demonetized the other day. I still take super chats on it, and then just for no reason YouTube were like, no, this is promoting hate against groups of individuals. I'm like,
yay,
wow, you really didn't like my last Rome Total War stream over there, did you?
Sargon, it's your brand.
Funny about the tools of
You made your bed. Sleep in it, bud.
It was in a video.
A Colston with 20 bits. In a recent video, Sargon got the, is that an L or an I? L, what? Even hashtag trend. Oh, he got the I would even hashtag trending. Oh my god. Sargon. No. You'd think he would have learned his lesson, huh? You'd think he would have learned his lesson, but I guess not.
Video game, what do you want me to say? The Spartans deserved it. and then I lost, and I wasn't happy. But anyway, if you'd like to support the channel, because we're demonetizing it, you can check out our merch store, which is linked in the description, or you can check us out on Subscribestar and join there and come and hang out in our Discord server, which is always good fun. I'm always in.
Oh, Sargon. I pray for the day that Sargon's channels get deleted and he gets permabanned from YouTube. That'll be nice. Anyway. Oh, we just put up a new video 25 minutes ago. We just did one, so we're not going to do 2 in a row. I guess we'll probably cover that next Chud watch.